What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Gotta Get Back, the Samurai Jack and Review Show. My name is Kyle, your host. Welcome to Project Potter, guys. Welcome to episode 38, which is part 2 of The Birth of Evil. If you haven't seen the show before, guys, welcome. It's a recap of every episode of Samurai Jack, a favorite character, a favorite scene, score out of 10, and some trivia. And we're going to kick it off with the recap here, guys. As you guys know, this is a part 2 from the Birth of Evil kind of two-part series here, the penultimate episode of season 3. And if you guys remember last episode, we saw Jack's father accidentally create a coup, and a coup burned most of their village over there, but the Emperor is kind of laid to hang out to dry as he's stuck there and he thinks all is lost. But we start this episode off with the town and just seeing Aku just start to wreck them, dude. So they're all fighting. They all get on their horses and everything. They know they're under attack. And you see like Aku's laser eyes just go through and it's burning everything up. And he's just having no problem. Everything's on fire. We kind of slowly pan out. It's a really cool shot where it's just like basically a big fire. And we cut back to the Emperor, Jack's dad. He's completely like worn out and he's, barely hanging there. Looks kind of like Jesus on the cross. I don't know if they meant to make that connection there. But the heavens kind of open up and we get this like whispery like smoke that comes in, and we see this horse materialize. It's really, really cool because there's like these vines that go around it, and this is supposed to be like Pegasus basically, and it like snorts on the Emperor, and like the wisp, it like shrinks the tree down and deteriorates the tree and breaks the Emperor from the grasp there, so it frees him. And he's like, wow, you can't believe it. And he's in awe, and he kind of pets Pegasus, and it's like, bro, get on. And then Pegasus takes off. A really cool scene. He's like clutching on. He goes up through the mountain, and then eventually they go up into the clouds, and he's at the top there. They bring him to like a staircase, and he want to say Jack because it looks a lot like Jack, but the Emperor goes up the stairs, and he's still just got like no armor, just kind of barely hanging on. He's just got like the one sort of ripped piece of clothing that he has, goes into like a dark sort of cavern. And there are the 3 guardians that we saw in part 1, and they kind of come alive. There's like these 3 ancient like gurus, and their eyes open up and it's just like space, and then it kind of transcends into the previous form that we saw in part 1, where one looks like an Egyptian god, one is like this big warrior guy, and one is the dude with like is it Anubis? I don't know what the name is, but it's like 6 arms. Really, really cool. And they're like, look, you have been chosen. They're like to defeat this great evil that has like gone upon your land. And they zap the Emperor, and they like basically release his heart, release this ball of light. And this part is really awesome because this is where we see them forge the magic sword. And so they like extract the pure light from the Emperor, and then the music's going. It's like it's like the drums are going, dude, and they like shoot their eyes down to kind of create it. And there's like a forge basically, and they're all going through, and they craft the magic sword, the one that Jack wields, and in this case the Emperor wields, and it's really awesome because the sword, the music crescendos, and it shows up as a sword where it's like it's blue like when I was possessed in that episode where Jack fights the undead, but they're like, look, this is the weapon you will use to defeat the monster here that like claims your land. He's like, this sword has been forged from the righteousness within you, and it's really, really cool. And Emperor's kind of like nervous, but he like gets confident and he grabs it. Then he gets this dope white armor, dude, white and blue armor, and oh my god, it looks so cool. It's amazing. And I'm like, dude, I hope that Jack can come back to that armor or something at some point because it's incredible. It just like forms around him, and then he goes down outside and he gets a flying freaking Nimbus, dude. This came out in 2004, I think, and so Gendy was probably like, you guys like DBZ? You like flying Nimbus? Yeah, remember how cool that was when Goku was riding around on it? Guess what? We're gonna do the same thing for the Emperor here. So he literally gets on, like the clouds form around him, and he's literally got a flying Nimbus. If you guys haven't seen Dragon Ball Z before, don't know what you're doing. But it's literally just like a little form of clouds that he stands on, and he can ride it. In Dragon Ball Z, you can only ride it if your heart is pure. So I'm assuming it's the same thing with this. But there's an awesome shot because he's flying around on the clouds. He goes down, and then he's like coming around a mountain. He's like hugging the mountain, and it's like he's going super fast, and he's like leaning up, and it's just awesome. He's ready to go now, and he's like kind of playing the images in his head of like a city being attacked and being burned as he goes, and then he goes right at Aku. Aku opens up his stomach to like avoid him, and he's like, "What is this?" And he's like, "Oh, it's you." He's like, "Have you learned nothing?" He's like, "Your none of your weapons are going to do any damage here." And as Aku is saying that, we get the Emperor saying like, "Aku, I have come here to defeat you." He's like, "It is my duty to defeat you." And he goes at him, and he's flying right at him, and he swipes him, and Aku's like, "Ah!" He's like, "What is this?" And then he's like, "Aku, this sword has been forged on the powers of good," or whatever. He's like, "Its sole purpose is to destroy you." And then we get an awesome battle between Emperor and Aku. And Aku shooting like his eye lasers at him, and he's using we're just gonna call it the Nimbus. He's using the Nimbus to go around and literally dip and dodge, and Aku is like trying to hit him, and he can't hit him no matter what. And eventually the Emperor comes up, and he kind of comes around. He's going full speed on the ground, and he like goes by Aku, and he like holds his sword so it rips through like a good amount. Aku actually regenerates, but like you can tell it takes a lot of his energy away. And then he starts shapeshifting into like a giant bat, and he starts chasing him and tries to like bite and eat the Emperor a few times there, and he has to fight him off. He transforms into like this giant, like terrifying spider. It's all hairy and shit, and he's running by, and he's got the Aku smirk, and the pincers are coming down, and the Emperor's now on a horse, and he's riding the horse. That's really cool. That wide shot where he's riding and the ground is going. And Aku comes up, and he's chasing him. And it's really, really cool. And then eventually, like the Emperor's slicing at his legs there, and he like kind of explodes into all these little like pieces that like drip down. And he kind of incarnates the armor of like the fallen warriors. And then before you know it, there's all of these Aku warriors around her, and his face is on every single one, and they're all giving him this like he's giving him this grin. And there's like an army now of Aku, and a great shot where it's like Brady Bunch style, where it's just the Emperor in the middle, and it's all the Akus laughing at the same time, but it's like all these little pieces that come around. And he gives him like he's like staring him down, and he's mad. And this is so similar to Jack, dude. It's really, really cool how we've seen Jack fight so much. Now we see his father fight when he was younger, and this is the first ever fight against Aku. So this is Jack's dad against Aku for the first time, and it does not disappoint, dude. We get this amazing sequence where he's got the magic sword, and he's got some of his armor. So some of his armor's ripped off, but he's still got like half of it, and now it's like a toga basically. But the Aku's are running at him, and he's kind of slicing them up, and he's jumping in the air, and we get these slow-mo shots where it's just like he's slicing, the Akus are falling. We get the black screen and the cuts. So all of the magic sword stuff we've seen that's been super cool that Jack's done, his dad is doing that now for the first time against Aku here. This is where he proves that he can like really take down Aku. It's awesome. They're throwing arrows at him, and like most of them are getting the armor, but some of them are like sticking in him. But he starts screaming like Jack does. He's just like powering through it, and it starts raining and pouring, and he finally is like almost done defeating all of the Akus, and he gets it. And there's like one left. And he starts running, and he's like, Aku! And he throws the sword at him, gets him in the back. And then like Aku goes like into the sword basically, which is how we see, like this over here where the eyes are in it, which is a nice little effect. But basically he's like, I will vanquish you now, monster. And he's like, never return to this land again or whatever. And then he like pulls up the sword and shoots it into the ground, which is kind of weird. You think like, I don't know, you'd find some other way to destroy it, but he vanquishes him. And then Aku is like forced into like the ground somehow. And then obviously in the pilot, we see he comes back to life. But that's kind of it for now. He's fought off Aku, and he hears like a baby crying. He turns around, and like their whole kind of hut is destroyed, but the wife is there, and Jack had been born. So Jack is crying in her arms, and like the light shining in. It's a really beautiful shot. And he turns around and he looks at his dad and he just like smiles, and his dad smiles back at him, and he's like, the three of them go over to like the opening, and he's like, we need to learn from this day. He's like, we cannot let this happen again. He's like, if the monster ever returns, he's like, we need to have a plan, which of course we see in the pilot. So, and that it kind of fades out slowly, and we see like Aku, who's like that kind of tree thing, and it's red, it's in the distance, but that is how the episode ends. Okay, guys, so for the magic sword for this one, it's the Emperor, dude, 100%. It's so cool the way he not only is like beaten down, but he gets Pegasus to save him, and he's kind of got this renewed energy. And then he goes to get the armor, and he gets the magic sword crafted for him, and then he's got this new renowned purpose, and he just goes through and he's going after Aku. He's going to stop at nothing. And then like this is where he really leads the people, where he's like, we had a lot of losses today, but he's like, we're going to learn from this, and we're going to go at it. And he's just, we know he created Aku, but he's ready to right the wrongs. And it's like, I don't know, he's just, the Emperor's awesome. He's so much like Jack, but he's a little bit different too, where like the styles are different, but you still see that like ferocity. So I really liked his character, and it was good to see him as like a younger version, where probably he's Jack's age. And he was just kicked ass in this episode. So, okay, guys, for a Portal in Time for this week, it has to be probably a combination of when he gets the armor, when he first grabs that sword and the armor materializes. I don't know what I was trying to say there. Materializes around him, and then he gets on the cloud. That whole sequence is incredible. Like it's so good that he's literally like, because remember he goes there and he's beaten up and he's tired and he's weak and he's kind of smaller, but they take his righteous energy. He gets the sword. So I guess I just want to include them forging the magic sword as well. So kind of that sequence where it starts with them forging the sword, giving him the sword, he gets the armor, then he gets the Nimbus, and he goes down. So that kind of brief sequence there is so good, and it's so cool to see like the sword that we know and love forged in an episode. And like we saw Aku's origin, and then we saw the sword's origin in the next one. So really awesome. And those are like kind of my collection of Portal in Times for this week. Okay, guys, so for a score, I was just like way more into this episode, part 2, than I was for part 1. I didn't hate part 1 by any means, but it just felt a little plain to me. But maybe that was just because there was like hope and despair, or no hope, I should say. And this one, it just was like there was righteousness and there was courage, and like it just, I don't know, it was just like a hype episode where like the drums are going and you're like, oh yeah, you see the magic sword going and you're like, let's forge this thing, dude, like let's take down Aku. And so it was just really good, and the style was really cool. I loved when he went to go get the sword and the armor and all that stuff. Like the visually was awesome. The fact that Pegasus comes down and saves him and like just like breathes on the Aku's dark like chains and it goes away. That was awesome. You can always fight evil with good. That whole more of that story is awesome. So for this one, it's a 9-2 for me. It's really, really good. I liked how we got to see, like, there's something special about the beginning and seeing the Emperor versus Aku, to see kind of him fighting Aku, and then knowing that like we get so many Jack versus Aku battles that are so similar. It's really awesome because their style is similar, like I said, but different. And just a really great episode all around, visually, sound-wise, always excellent. And just the redemption story of like taking the Emperor who's like got nothing and he's beat up and he's worn down and he's like about to pass out. He's probably going to die there, to get him to go and then get the most powerful weapon and then kind of regroup his troops. And then for him to really become a leader at the end, where he's like, we're going to learn from this day. Like, it's just a great story arc, and it's great that they kind of banish Aku for a little bit, and then that kind of sets up the whole journey that Jack's going on. So, it's a really good episode. Okay, so for Jack facts, this one, guys, these ones are kind of weird. And I actually did notice this first one when I was watching. So it says here, the same voice clip of Aku screaming in pain from the sword is repeated twice more within the episode. It did sound very similar, and obviously it was the same exact clip, but I was kind of like, all right, that's the Aku pain scream. And they didn't have any like variation of that. They were just kind of like, okay, yell. And then they're like, okay, you're going to swipe there. And then we're also just going to use that for the next two. So that's fine. I mean, we get the idea. We don't need like different variations of his cry for help. So that's just a little fun bit there. And then the other one here, guys, the 2-part episode takes place before the pilot, even though it aired 2 seasons later. So that was pretty obvious, but yeah, it's a prequel. I always love that stuff. Whenever you can like retcon or stuff like that. I love Rogue One, dude. That's why I love Rogue One so much, is because it makes A New Hope better in Star Wars. So like anytime you can go back and do a prequel and then it builds on the things we already know and it makes the things that we already know better. Love that stuff. So those are kind of our 2 quick little Jack facts for this week. Okay, guys, that's it. That's another episode. That is 38 episodes down of Gotta Get Back. And so we got the season 3 finale next week. Should be fun. It's weird because this feels like a finale. So it's weird that they had like the 2-parter and then 1 more episode in season 3. I don't know why they did that, but it's good to just kind of get back. It's weird to not see Jack for 2 episodes. I guess we did actually see baby Jack in this one, but I'll be interested to see like get back to him like doing his thing. So but yeah, thanks for checking out Project Potter, guys. Thanks for checking out the channel. Go check out the other content on the channel. Like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell notification, and until next time, guys, gotta get back.